No matter where you are in your grief, these are 5 things that we had wished we'd known about before Kaylee and I lost a parent each. So let's start the new year together with ways of moving from loss to progress in your grief and starting the year strong. See you on the other side. You'll never guess, as I was just setting up for the podcast and you were putting Nazare down to sleep, what I found on the couch. You get 3 guesses.
The medium silver bowl that we lost at New Year's.
Have not found the medium silver bowl.
Damn it.
2 more quick guesses.
You found it on the couch or in the couch?
On the side of the couch.
A remote control.
Nope. A 3rd and final guess.
Have we been missing it?
No, we've definitely not been missing these.
Oh, some cucumber.
No.
Oh, that Nazare eats.
No. It was like a 50-cent sized huntsman.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. Spider, like in Australia, spider. Big spider.
Dead or alive?
Alive.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was on your side, just so you know. And I killed it with a grief book. Because I was not going to take any chances.
You look after me so well.
So I'm glad that we've got thick grief books just lying around that I could just grab. It was actually What's Your Grief by Eleanor and Lisa. And
it should have been Lonely Planet's Guide to Death because that huntsman is
But that's
no
also
more.
Grief and rebirth, and we don't want that thing.
Rebirthing.
Yes.
So hopefully it didn't lay eggs in the couch.
I hope not. Little backstory for everybody. When we first bought this home, we had like one of these huntsmen every 2
day.
or 3 days. Like,
I thought it was every day for a bit.
And we were like, is this house like...
If you followed us at that time, you were seeing story after story of us chasing spiders.
And people were just writing in like, burn the house down.
Yeah,
sell
never
it.
coming to Australia or your house.
Yeah. So since then, just to close off on that story, we haven't seen them for a long time because we
found a solution.
We found a solution. We just blocked off the door to our garage.
Yeah, the gap under the door. We just put a seal.
And immediately they stopped. So it's very rare to see a spider in our house anymore. So I was thankful as we were setting up. It just caught the corner of my eye and I was like, oh my gosh, that could be anywhere in our lounge that we're sitting on right now. So,
and our child plays on this lounge.
Yeah, we're spiderless. I hope. So anyway.
Well, I killed one with my toe last night too on the way to the shower.
That's just weird.
It was small. It was only like fingernail size. So
anyway, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Welcome to 2025.
Yeah, just killing spiders in 2025.
You look nice in your new Christmas outfit. Christmas presents.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't say it's a Christmas outfit.
No, not a Christmas outfit. They were Christmas presents. Separate, but go together very nicely.
We hope that you all listening had a peaceful new year coming into a new year. I just was on Facebook and I saw one of our Good Grief club members, Maria's post about her dad and last year being the first year. And so
excuse me.
He died shortly before her son was born. And so just a continual reminder of some of the stories and the journeys throughout 2024 that, you know, we are very grateful to share in some of those journeys and walk out those grief journeys.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we hope that you did have a reflective, a peaceful new year, but we're also grateful to be starting it with you, right?
Yeah. And I really hope that our Good Grief community, wherever you are inside that, whether you're in our club or just our group or just following us on Instagram, hope that the collective community and content just brings you a bit more hope this year. So keep following along because we like doing the journey with you.
Totally. And I don't know if you're one to write resolutions. I stopped writing resolutions a long time ago. I don't mind a good goal and a reflection and so forth. One of the questions we asked inside of our Facebook group is, what's one thing you're leaving behind in the new year and one thing you're taking with you? And it's been awesome seeing people's responses to that in different ways. But if we were to have not a resolution but a review, we would love it if you could review the podcast to start the new year. That would be a huge start for us. If you haven't already, it would take you, I'd say 17 and a half seconds.
Oh, yep. If you do it any quicker, bonus points. You're helping a lot of people.
And it might take you 30 seconds. But if you can spare 30 seconds to review the podcast, that would be amazing from both of us. So thank you in advance.
Your good deed for the new year, because it not only helps us, but helps other people find us. And will help their journey.
Totally. What are we talking about today?
Oh, today it's a bit of a tongue twister for me. Hang on a second. From Lost to Progress, 5 things we'd wish we'd known about grief. Yeah.
Why are we talking about this?
Well, starting the new year, it's just a good way to set up the new year, learning from us, learning from other people that have gone before you, so that you can do the journey better and hopefully set yourself up for this year.
Yeah, wisdom is learning from other people that have walked the road before you. And so we've been on the journey 12 years, 13 years.
13 years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Which one is it? I don't know.
You're 13. I'm almost 13.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
I know you've been saying 12.
Yeah, 12,
the last
13.
few podcasts. I'm like, you're actually 13. I'm
13.
almost 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've ridden plenty of the waves along the way, and we're now in a new stage of grief with not a newborn anymore, but nearly a 9-month-old.
Yeah.
And that provides new thoughts and emotions and challenges. So we want to share 5 of the things that we've learned along the road that have shown us that we're progressing in our grief towards a life that has meaning again. We've definitely got meaning back in our lives, but we know that when you're thrown into grief, in very early stages, all of that gets thrown out the window. So shall we kick off?
Yeah, let's jump in.
And in no particular order either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if were you thinking of saving like best till last or like?
I think it'll be different for everyone. So
we haven't chatted about this. Should we reorder? Like we've got these are all important.
Yes.
Would there be one that you see on this list that you would save till the end?
No, I can't pick.
Okay. Should we pick them at random?
Yeah, okay.
Not in the order that they're sitting in. Okay.
And then you guys can drop down below what you think your top one
Should we rock off to see who goes first?
Okay.
Scissors, paper, rock. All right, you're first.
All right,
Kayla went scissors.
I went scissors, you went paper. I snipped you.
Should always go rock first.
Yeah, neither of us did.
Neither of us went rock.
What was that from? Oh, we did that. We got a new board game, Herd Mentality. Get it if you're into board games. And the tables, the question was, you're playing paper, scissors, rock. What do you go first? And I think all of us said rock. But we just didn't do it. Because I thought about that and I thought he's going to go rock. But I went scissors, which means you would kill me. Anyway, all right, jumping in.
The first way that you know you're moving towards progress in your grief.
And I think this is a great one to start the new year with. When you can find gratitude in small things daily.
Super good.
Like if you can start that this year, start that as a new habit. Go check out our episode with Dr. Gina Cleo on habits. She talks about this. If you can go to bed thinking about something you're grateful for that day, it not only helps your psyche and your brain, but it just brings your awareness to little progresses you're having each day. Yeah.
Yeah, and that if you're going to do it at nighttime, that's also going to help you sleep better. So thinking about things that were positive or that you're grateful for is going to help you sleep better. So it's a 2-in-1. One, you're going to be making some progress in your grief. 2, you're going to sleep better, which is going to help you the next day to move forward again.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it morning and night. Wake up, think of something you're grateful for, be grateful, and then get out of bed.
Yeah, and I started really small on this, like very, very small. So it could simply be the people that you still have with you, you know. We're dealing with people that we've lost, but it's like I might wake up and say, thank you for my wife, you know, or thank you for when I was personally thrown into loss for that first time when Dad died, it was like, thank you for Mum and Dad's best friends that helped us. Thank you for my brother. Like just the most immediate people. That's where I started. But it might be even smaller than that. Like, thank you for the sunshine today.
Thank you that I can get out of bed by myself, that I'm healthy and well.
Totally. And if you are a real doer or achiever, you might just start a note in your phone and just create a daily list.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and just jot down, start with one thing and build from that. That's how you start to stack and build a foundation. And you can start to, as we're saying, process and progress.
Incrementally. Yeah.
Okay, nice start. Ooh, let's see.
What's he going to go?
I'd say that something that we wish we'd known is that you actually become a completely new person after loss.
Oh,
it changes.
absolutely.
It changes you from the inside out. Everything that you thought about life and living changes. Everything that you thought about death and dying changes. Everything that you thought you knew about love and care changes. Everything you thought about hurt and sorrow and pain changes. The year Dad died in 2012, we, as a band, I was in a band called Prepared Like a Bride. We'd written this 5-song EP, and this was in September, and we called it A Dangerous Journey. And I, as the lyricist, the vocalist, I wrote about all of my persecution and my struggles and my suffering that I'd gone through in my 21 years of life at that point. Released it in September. 2 months later, Dad was killed in a plane crash. And I was like, oh my gosh, that EP is trash, because that does not capture any of the suffering that I've now experienced. I thought I had this idea of what I'd been through in terms of suffering, but it paled in comparison to losing Dad. And so we have to write an album next time. It wasn't 5 songs, it was 11 songs to capture more of that. But it changed me completely. And so if I had have known ahead of time, it would have been helpful that I was going to become a new person. And that person that I've become isn't a bad person. It's a much better version of myself.
Yeah, 100%.
Which now, 13 years later, looking back, I'm able to see that grief and loss has actually made me a better person. So
yeah,
it's not that I would ever wish that upon somebody, but it is the silver lining. It's, I think, what I would say is part of God's design, that we would learn through loss the ways that He can change us through that process.
Yeah. And if you are or have ever thought, I wish I could get back to the old me, or when will I get back to the old me? Newsflash, it's not going to happen. It's just not. Loss changes you, just like Ryan said, all the things that he's mentioned, friendships change, all that sort of thing. Everything that shapes you has changed. So you will no longer get back to that old self pre your loved one dying. So,
and that's okay. It's just okay to
totally
understand that. And if this episode is just like an aha of like, oh, I've been wrestling with this inside of me that I want to get back. I want to be that same person that I was, to just sit back and go, oh, it's okay to know that I'm going to be a different person. But in the future, you'll look back and go, I've actually grown so much because of that. And you'll start to see it in people that haven't lost loved ones as well. You'll see a different level of maturity and depth to people that have gone through loss and suffering and tragedy, and those who haven't. And that's okay as well. That's just the way it is. Everyone will come to a point in life of experiencing some form of loss around them. They just haven't reached that point yet, which is a blessing.
Yeah, and empathy and understanding. Yeah. I think you'll start to notice it in yourself as different moments pop up of suffering for others or things like that. You'll start to notice new empathy and understanding and whatnot for others.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, that's 2 down.
Ooh.
Number 3 of ways of knowing that you're moving from loss to progress.
Okay. Wish I'd known that it does get better, but slower than you would like. So I think we all know now that there's no timeline for grief, but it can just take time, and we do need to put in, some of that work to make the progresses, like we're talking about, incrementally, do small things to get there, but it does get better. And we're now at a point where, I'd say we're living a normal life with grief.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. We wake up daily with joy. We're able to love freely and talk about them, and all those sorts of things.
And plan the future.
Yeah.
And get excited.
Be excited about things.
In their stages of their lives. Totally.
Yeah. But it can happen slower than you think. So just to not put any expectations on when it might click and you might feel over the hump, or you've moved forward or moved on. Like we say, you don't move on from grief, you move forward with it. And so there's no real click, notch in the belt, or a hill that you get over. And it's different for everyone.
I think it's also good to know that time doesn't heal all wounds. That some of these cliches that we hear are so not true. They just rhyme well, and so we believe them easily.
Yes.
Time doesn't heal all wounds. It takes work. It takes prayer. It takes doing hard things for us to grow through our grief. And so that might be a real insight today that you came for, to go that I'm not just going to wait this thing out. I actually have to take steps. It's like watching Nazaré, our daughter, start to crawl.
Sound like Nazarao.
Oh, really?
Nazaré.
Nazaré.
Her name's Nazaré. Yeah.
Yes.
Our daughter.
Oh, because I said Nazaré.
Nazaré.
Let's just go with our daughter, right? It's like watching her learn to crawl. And if she's going to learn to crawl and then walk, she's got to fall over on her face a bunch of times. We can't be there to protect her. And it's like moving through grief. We can't just sit still and expect to crawl someday.
Yeah.
We've actually got to start moving forward, and we'll fall on our face. There'll be tears. There'll be, down days, down weeks, sometimes down months or years. That's okay, as long as we're continuing to move forward. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's worth really making clear, that surround yourself with people that are going to pray for you, that are going to lift you up, that are going to ask you how you're doing and how they can support you.
They're going to check on you on those anniversaries and things, and offer to take you out and be that support person. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What was that, number 3?
That was number 3.
Okay. Looks like you're going to have the clutch.
Oh, yeah.
The clutch at the end.
That's what you get for winning.
Here's what I would say for number 4 is, that you're moving from loss towards progress when you realize that your grief will always be with you, but it no longer captures all of your attention. And so this might look like a day when you finally start to smile again or laugh at something, and then you catch yourself in that moment and you're like, oh, and maybe guilt or shame kicks in of like, I shouldn't be laughing, I should be crying. That's a really important moment to capture. Take a mental snapshot of that, because that's a moment where you've actually just acted innocently and naturally and instinctively as to what's around you. And maybe it's a bunch of kids playing, it's brought joy to your heart. Maybe it's, someone that smiled at you and you've smiled back, or maybe something funny's happened and you've heard it on the radio or on TV and you've just laughed and then caught yourself. That's a really powerful, pivotal moment.
Absolutely.
To realize.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I think that's such a good milestone to be aware of, because you can often think that as a griever that you're always reacting to how you feel in your grief and about your person. But when you know you can wake up without feeling in despair, or laugh without feeling guilt, or plan ahead without, thinking you're in this rut and you can't do so, I think that's a really good milestone.
And it sort of relates back to point 1 of finding small gratitudes every day. These are some of the foundations that we want to build as we look to progress through grief. It's like, yes, can we find small gratitudes? But yes, can we allow ourselves or find those moments when we do laugh or cry with joy, or share a moment with someone? Because once we capture that, we can start to build upon those. And eventually we start having, when you start in loss, it's like 7 days out of 7 are bad. Just bad days. I want to go to bed. I don't want to wake up, or I just want to get today over and done with. Eventually, it'll start to move. So maybe it's 6 bad days and 1 good day a week. Eventually 2 good days, 5 bad days. And we're slowly starting to turn the lever, or
tip the seesaw.
Yeah, if it's a seesaw, right? We're starting to walk across the seesaw, so it starts to tip. Eventually, you'll look and you go, I'm having more good days in a week than bad days. More good weeks in a month than bad weeks. More good months in a year than bad months. And eventually, you get to a stage where you actually get caught off guard by your grief, because you're busy enjoying life again and finding meaning again and purpose, and you have hope for the future.
Right. And it's not consuming every other moment. It now catches you off guard when you have a moment. Yeah.
And that's where we're
Which
at.
still happens. Yeah, it happens to us.
It catches us off guard, and we haven't cried for a while, and then we're all of a sudden, a quiet tear, or we're bawling our eyes out.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. So we're like, I don't.
And that's normal, by the way.
Totally. And I've said this before, I don't want to forget my grief. I don't want to leave my grief at the front door, because that means that I'm leaving love behind with it. My grief is so incredibly interlocked with love that now that I'm here this far down the road, I don't want those two things to ever be separated again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We want you to know that it's, totally normal to get to a place where you can laugh and you can be joyful and plan, but also still have grief moments, because your grief comes with you.
And that's why we called ourselves Good Grief.
Yes. All right.
What do we got for number 5 in ways of learning to move from loss to progress and things that we wish we had known?
Yeah. So you are making progress when you can trust in God again.
Expand on that.
So, I mean, we can always, you turn to God in the good and the bad, don't you? But, when you lose.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yes. When you lose this person that you love, that you care so deeply for, it's so easy to point the finger and be like, why me? Even though there's people all around us, losing people all the time, and death is how we leave this earth.
It's how we enter eternity.
It's how we enter eternity, yes. And this is not the end. And if that's the first time you're hearing that, hopefully that gives you some hope that there is something after this life, and we can step into eternity with God and live in eternal glory with Him. And so this is not the end. And so when you can trust in that, when you can trust that God's all-knowing, all-powerful, all set in stone plan for humanity,
which is reconciliation to Him,
yes, has purpose and is planned out for us, you can trust in that, and you can trust Him again. If you lost trust, that is.
Well, grief will either drive you into God or away from God, and it's one or two of those options. And so even though I felt personally that grief drove me into the love of God,
Same.
I still had all of the questions that everybody listening will have had. Is like, why me, why him, why now, why us, why good people, why people that love you and are faithful to you, like all of those questions, and they're all valid. And we can see many examples through the Bible of different characters, you know, asking similar questions, or people running away from God, like Jonah, for example, you know, running away from God. But it's why, like, I've got this tattoo on my arm from Corinthians, you know, "O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?" It's a permanent reminder that death and the grave isn't the final outcome, as you said. It's actually the doorway into a glorious relationship with Christ that we don't fully get while we're on earth.
No, we can't. Our human brain does not have the capability.
Totally. And don't get me wrong, I didn't get this tattoo the day after Dad died. It was many years later, once I'd come to that place of trusting in God again fully and wanting a permanent reminder on my body that, hey, this earth is just a stepping stone into what's promised for us.
Yeah, and I know there's huge questions on why is there so much suffering in the world, and really the answer is sin. You know, started from Adam and Eve. You know, they first sinned, and that brought in all sorts of things into the world, including suffering. So it's not God out there picking and choosing who's going to suffer and who's going to die.
And
now,
we've also got to remember, and you know, I love our friend Christine Wren, who says, you know, there is an enemy as well that we often forget about.
Yes.
And the devil hates us.
He does.
And he wants us dead, and he wants us deceived. And so we have to remember that God is working together all things for good for those who love him according to his perfect will. But there's also an enemy out there that has our name and wants it crossed off the list as well. So,
whether you believe it or not, there is a spiritual battle for your life, and God is working for you, and the enemy, Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call him, is working against you, and he's constantly trying to knock you down and try and deceive you that God is the one who's causing the suffering and all this. But it's the devil. The devil's trying to take you down, and God is trying to call you into eternity. Yeah.
We could go into a whole nother podcast episode here, but I think it's a great final point as to, you know, that you are progressing in your grief when you can trust in God again and give him everything. Yep.
Even if we don't know all the answers.
Totally.
To just trust that he is, what's that word?
I don't know. What are you're moving your hands,
I'm moving
but
my
you're not saying
hands like
anything.
a globe. I know, all encompassing, all powerful, all knowing.
Yeah, all of those things. There you go.
I know there's a word for it.
Well, there's 3 words for it, but we'll save that for a different episode.
Okay, let's.
Well, big start to the new year.
Yeah.
Hopefully this has been helpful just to start your new year when everyone's posting up their highlight reels and, you know, having the time of their lives and talking about their goals and such, and you're sitting there thinking about the person that you love the most, maybe that you lost, and how you're going to get through this new year. We're right here every step of the way with you. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you're on our newsletter, and hey.
And make sure you share it with someone who this could help as well.
Totally. So thanks for joining us on this episode of Good Grief. And wherever you are in the world, we are praying for you. We love you.
Yep. Sending you big love.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Ciao.
Bye for now.